Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by John Cartwright to discuss Google's announcement of the Stadia, a streaming service that brings them into the gaming market. So, let's get started. Alright, John, so we just sat through Google's whole GDC presentation revealing the Stadia, talking about their entry into the gaming space, and, okay. So if any of you are following me on Twitter, I'm not the most excited about this. This seems bad. But what do you think, John?
Just the presentation itself, we're both saying to each other, this feels like a presentation from 2002. It feels so dated. They didn't really announce much at all game-wise. It was all just a bunch of tech announcements. Even that, there weren't that many exciting ones in there either. And they spent the first 20 minutes or so just talking about what Google's done to do like what they've done with their data in the past, and that scares me a bit. It's like this is like an extension of their data collection, and it's like whenever you watch a YouTube video, not only are they collecting data on what you like, but they're giving you more advertisements in the way of playing these games. So to me, this just feels like one big way to extend their data collection and extend their advertisements.
Oh yeah, and then in addition to that, their controller that they're offering has a microphone built in, so how much you want to bet somebody's going to tear apart that thing and discover that it's always recording and waiting?
Yeah, no doubt.
Kind of like how people talk about the Alexa doing that, or all those recording devices that where you can ask questions and whatnot. There's some really worrying aspects of this thing.
And one of the first words they said in this presentation was, "I am not a gamer." And that's the worst way to sell it to people watching this presentation. And I do understand that this service may not be for us. It may be for people who don't generally play games or don't have their own platforms. But even then, I'm still very worried about what this can do as a platform. Because Steve actually did some calculations for us. And he figured out that if you're streaming 4K at 24 frames per second, that's 7 gigabytes per hour. And they say that you can do it at 4K 60 FPS or even 8K 60 FPS. So imagine what that's going to be per hour. And I know a lot of people have unlimited data plans, but imagine those who have capped. This thing is going to eat that up.
Oh yeah, it's going to devour it. I don't know how everybody is going to be able to do this, and I don't know if there's a way they found it to compress it or something to that effect, but it's just going to be a data devourer. It's going to be ridiculous. And he took all this from the Netflix's publicly available guidelines for 4K video content, which is why it's 24 FPS and not 30. So yeah, it's just crazy how much it sucks up. And some people will have a data cap of somewhere around 300 gigabytes a month. Imagine trying to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which they showed a lot, is not a small game, not a short game. And there was a beta test for that Project Stream, so I'm not sure how those people reacted to that. I didn't really see much information about that whole streaming thing and what people thought about it. It seems like it was has potential, but that's all I'm really seeing. And I wonder how their data handled that beta.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, just your speeds as well. So I know a lot of people around the world don't have great broadband speeds. Like in Australia, for instance, they're far behind a lot of other places in the world. And even here in the UK, our broadband speeds aren't that great. So it is worrying how this is actually going to work, and whether let's say you're playing a multiplayer game and you have a great connection yourself, that doesn't guarantee that the person you're playing against, though, isn't going to be buffering the entire time. And that might just diminish the entire experience. And not only that, but there's also technical issues that come outside of just data. Like in their stream, at one point the actual stream started corrupting, and their image quality went really weird. And that's this is them doing their official Google stream on their Google platform, which is YouTube, and that has problems. So I'm just thinking, is that going to happen? Could this happen in these games as well? Because it's not the best demonstration for it.
Yeah, not really. And there's just a lot of questions involved, because this whole presentation felt like an early 2000s E3 press conference where not much was said. They said how great they were and how much potential they was, and they used so many buzzwords throughout this entire thing that I honestly started to tune out a little bit. It just was not holding my interest. And every so often they maybe have some cool potential things, I was talking to some people on Twitter about how that whole filter thing they were putting over the games in order to quickly try out a new art style, it does have a lot of potential for developers, at least as far as saving time. So, that's that technology is cool. That has some potential, but we didn't see any games. We didn't get a price point for what this is. Like, how much is it going to cost to stream these things? What makes it worthwhile for that? Are we doing a whole, like, are we subscribing to Stadia in order to get these many games a month in order to stream? Or, like, there's so many questions about this whole service.
And before we started watching the stream, you and I were saying to each other that we don't exactly trust Google as a gaming company. And the same would have been said about Microsoft back before they made Xbox. Mm-hmm. But I think the reason that Xbox did so well is Halo. Like, Halo was what pushed the Xbox to be successful. And they didn't show a single first-party game in this presentation. They told us they have first-party studios making games, but we didn't see a single game of that. And in fact, I think the only games we really saw were Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, I believe, Doom Eternal, and Rise of the Tomb Raider. There was a little montage where they showed like streamers playing different games, but it's very unclear whether they're running on this service or whether that's just a compilation of streamers playing games. I really can't say at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The game, like, nothing about those games really pulls me in. They're readily available on other systems, and I can actually own them. And, part of me wonders if it's like, is this just me being an old man, being like, back in my day, we actually owned these things, but there's the ability to stream some games has potential. It'd be kind of cool to just get a service and, like, okay, I don't want to buy this game, but I kind of want to check it out. I'm really not sure about that. I'm so confused, I think, is the big word for this one.
Yeah, I think maybe it just isn't for us. And maybe there are people out there who would love to stream these games anywhere they want. And it is cool. They showcased they had a very low quality PC and it was running Assassin's Creed just fine. And that is cool. Like, say you can't afford a big PC. That's just a cool way to get into those games. But yeah, there still is issues of whether it will actually work or not, and like especially around all the world. So that's worrying. And also, the actual controller itself worries me too, because it doesn't look that well made. The D-pad looks really bad. The analog stick placement is my least favourite placement. The rest of the ergonomics seem kind of ripped out of the Switch Pro controller, to be honest.
Yeah.
And just the design as well. Like the default controller they showed had this awful orange tint under the analog sticks, and it's so glaring. Mm-hmm. Like, none of the variant colours really look good.
Yeah, black was probably the best with the white underneath the analog sticks, but it still wasn't great. And the light blue one was hideous with the lime green there. And it's just not appealing whatsoever in any form of this controller. They're talking about how, like, revolutionary share button. I'm pretty sure that most consoles have that now. It just felt like, in a lot of ways, it felt like Google was trying to play catch up. In other ways, they were like trying to be ahead of the curve, and there was no real consistency there. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to care about your system unless I have games to play it on. I've grown out of the age of tech demos exciting me for a new console. I mean, it's just a gift of experience, I guess, over time. Because I remember those seeing the PlayStation 2 tech demos and being like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing! Look how much potential there is." No, show me the games.
I suppose there's been history for game streaming in the industry before this. There's OnLive, which was before its time, but no one really used it. And even in the modern era, we have PlayStation Now. Like, you can stream PlayStation 3 games, you can stream PlayStation 4 games, but I don't know anyone that uses that service. I know the future probably is streaming. The future is probably all in the cloud, not having actual dedicated consoles. This probably is the future. Just, I don't know if we're ready for that yet, and I don't know if people are interested enough in it yet either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think we're a little bit too early on for quite a bit of this, and it's cool that you're trying to push forward. That's kind of what the Oculus did, and the HTC Vive was trying to get VR pushed forward, and that we did take some major steps ahead, but it still wasn't quite there yet. And I think we're still a few years off from these ideas being viable. So I don't think streaming only consoles or even services, I don't know if that's appealing yet, especially me, because I like collecting games, so it's just old man me talking there. But if you want to get rid of clutter and all that, you're good to go. But there's other aspects of this that I'm not quite sure I understand, or I guess they're pushing for that I'm not quite sure if I'm down for, because their whole thing was like that whole YouTube integration. See somebody playing a stream and being able to use their save files and pick up from where they left off, and all that, or queuing up in order to actually play with the streamer. And I'm like, okay, that's a good idea in theory, but let's say you're watching a stream by Ninja and you want to play with him. Well, good luck getting in that queue.
Yeah, I think that an example they showed off was, I think with Rise of the Tomb Raider, you can look at a walkthrough and then just take their save file, like just pick off from where the walkthrough leaves off. To me, that feels like it's taking the game away from you. Like, I guess it's something that isn't a bad idea, because obviously you would be following that walkthrough anyway. But I'd rather play the game rather than watch someone else do it. I suppose it does save time, but it's just something that to me doesn't sound fun. It's not something I would want to do personally.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like there definitely is an audience for this. I follow Adam Sessler on Twitter, and he was talking about how there's this aggregator like keeping track of like how positive or something is for various topics, and he said that interest in this whole Project Stream and Stadia and all that stuff, it did go up through this conference. So there is interest in this product. It's just not with me.
Yeah, no, that's probably the problem. It's just we're quite set in our ways of physical media. But I understand. I think I even approve of the future being like this. I think this is where we're going to go at some point when hardware's sort of plateaued and we can't get any better than this. But I think we can get better than this. Like they've stated that their hardware is 10.7 teraflops, which is basically twice of the Xbox One X. But Derek, you brought up quite a good point when we were watching the stream, which is basically we don't know the specs of next-gen machines. So that figure is kind of... it doesn't mean much at the moment, because we're about to get into the next generation. And they did say that you could some games could take advantage of dual GPUs, which I guess makes it a bit more future-proof, but there's going to come a point where actual physical hardware will probably go beyond what they can do with their cloud streaming, with what they have in place already.
It seems very likely, because there's no way that... I feel like we're going to see a pretty significant jump for both Sony and Microsoft, because usually there's quite a bit of future-proofing that goes into it when they put out these new consoles. So I'm almost positive both of them are going to be above that 10.6 or 4 teraflops that they're advertising or whatever. It just feels inevitable, and I feel like both Sony and Microsoft will likely continue to look into streaming and try to compete with this. So all of a sudden I have a console that I can have both physical media and streaming if I want. What's the point of Google?
Right. And this isn't the only time that Google have competed, like even Twitch and YouTube both have streaming services, and Twitch seems to be the most popular out of the two. YouTube tried competing in social media. They had Google Plus, and that had YouTube integration too, but no one liked Google Plus. No one really used it. And we have Xbox coming out of Project X Cloud, and I do wonder, like, will that also compete with what Google are doing, or will one of them sort of win out in the end? This isn't existing in a bubble, and the industry is competing against what this is doing. So I don't know if this is the end of what. Like, I don't know if this is like the definitive cloud experience or not. I suppose we'll see when Xbox come out with their thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm so torn on this.
Yeah, the funny thing is that Microsoft has sort of built up this trust among gamers. Like, it doesn't have the, because of the Xbox One, they kind of lost a little bit of that trust, but there's still, like, people recognize Microsoft as a gaming company now, at least in this space. So I think there might be a little bit more trust to that, and as we said, Google makes me nervous. Like, Microsoft is another huge company, but they have the benefit of being around for a while in this space, and I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about this one at all. I'm not sure. You know what I'm actually very curious about? I'm very curious what Microsoft's initial press conference was like, introducing the Xbox. How different was it? How much they showed off games? All that stuff,
I'm pretty sure they showcased Halo. That was pretty much their big focus of their conference. The Xbox was also in a position where it was the most powerful console of its generation. And I suppose this is, at the moment, this is as powerful as consoles get, whether you can call it a console. Because, I mean, their big slogan is basically no box. And I think that they were kind of like self-congratulating themselves a lot by saying, like, there's no box. This is what we are. We're far more elegant. This is the future. Yeah, it might be right, it might be wrong. It's really hard to say at the moment until it comes out and people get their hands on with it. Because there's so many variables. Like, will this run well? Will most of the world be able to play it? And most importantly, I suppose, what games will there be?
Yeah, what games will there be? How much is it going to cost? There's so many unknowns about this, and this just seemed more self-congratulatory about what they did show than I think I'm comfortable with. This feels like too, hey, we're great, before they've really shown why they're great to me. Like, these are cool ideas, but I don't know if, like, I'm cynical about it, but it was really neat to see them go from game to game to game to game, or from device to device, and all that, in order to transfer, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It seemed pretty quick and simple, but we've seen these type of demos where they sort of fudge how it actually works. Like, this is the ideal of how it works. Doesn't mean that's necessarily how it is going to work.
And I'm also not entirely sure how viable phones are going to be for this, because phones are typically portable devices, so you have to be not only near a Wi-Fi source, but a good Wi-Fi source, and also have a little connector to put your controller onto your phone, which never really looks elegant. So, yeah, to me this seems like a home kind of thing. So maybe there's still a market for consoles to get a bit more portable to compete with this. I mean, it's still, I guess it is still quite portable though. Like, you can go from one house and play on their Wi-Fi, go to like a building, play on their Wi-Fi, but still, there's limitations. You're always tethered to something. You can't be offline with this thing. That is impossible.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh boy, I'm not quite sure what to think about this. I really don't. I'm not excited. I know that for a fact, but there's potential here. But I'm not sure if it's gonna work out.
Yeah, it could go either way. I want to say positive things about it, but I'm just not feeling too good about it, you know? I feel like if it works, great. If it works and they have great games to offer, then I will definitely give it a go. I'll give it a go regardless, but whether I'll stick with it, right now, I'm feeling like I won't.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'll see what, once again, it's going to be, let's look at the games they have, see what the early reactions are, and go based off that. But I don't know. We'll see how it all turns out. But yeah, I don't know. This is a weird time, to say the least.
Yep.
But well, any other final thoughts on the Stadia?
I guess what we're gonna like abbreviate this name to, because I think it might have been Steve who said the abbreviation for Stadia is STI, which isn't the best way to shorten it down.
Yeah, I don't know. The gaming names are always weird. It's you get used to them after a while. At least they kind of justified the name a bit, but I don't know. I mean, we put up with the Wii, so it's not that bad.
I suppose so, yeah.
Alright, well, I think that covers it for our Stadia discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Nintendo and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.